Everybody, and welcome to a very exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. I am joined on this episode by author Andy Ewington. Andy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, and cheers for inviting me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's always nice to talk to a creator whose work that I enjoy, and that's certainly the case. And also nice to talk to someone who also owns a pair of glowing headphones. It's very helpful.
What I'm going to say is to my sort of smaller sort of caveats is just that these are actually my sons. So
Yep.
mine are just nice Sony ones, which are wireless, but they don't work very well with the Macs. So these ones are just simple plug-in ones. So yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I used to be a gamer once upon a time, and every time I put these on, I think about maybe jumping back into that. I've just not been
Got to
part of
do it.
that world.
I
Yeah.
think I'm currently playing Diablo, the newest version, which
Yeah,
is
I've heard great.
perfect. It's some nice storytelling, so I would heartily recommend dipping in just for the narrative alone.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard amazing things. One of my colleagues at the school that I teach at, I think, basically spent the entire weekend with very little sleep when it came out. So, I'm very
Yeah,
tempted, very tempted.
I've been doing some of the beta work as well, so just playing the betas when they've come out, and it's like nobody talked to me this weekend. I'm playing Diablo, and that's it. So yeah, as you can imagine, that went down well.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it too, is I get immersed in these worlds and these stories, and like I should probably be helping with dinner right now. But I'm almost through this part, and then there's the next part.
Yeah.
Um, so my first question is about that immersion in stories, and it's the author origin question. What was your path to writing like? What was your path to comics like?
Weirdly, through computer games, I think that started really. I'd spent a lot of time playing computer games. I mean, I'm 51 this year, so I'm getting a little bit long in the tooth. So I was playing computer games since sort of the Atari 2600s,
Hmm, hmm.
and really, I think I had an epiphany moment around about year 2000. I think I was playing Baldur's Gate or something, one of the newest versions of Baldur's Gate at that time, and I was just thinking to myself, how much time have I sunk into computer games? How much have I done? And don't get me wrong, I love computer games. I still love computer games now. But I think when I looked back at how much time has been spent on Baldur's Gate, I think I came to the conclusion that I could have written a book at that time. And that was the epiphany moment. I just went, you know what? I'm going to write a book. Because if I can write a story that's anywhere near as engaging as playing Baldur's Gate, that's got to be something. I'm leaving my mark as opposed to playing somebody else's story. And yeah, sometimes you're the character in it, but really 2000 when I started to try, writing a novel, which ended up being a huge 400,000 word piece. I had no experience of writing novels. I mean, my English was okay, but really, um, it was one of those things that I had to learn on the job. My vocab really sort of grew and
Hmm,
understanding and
hmm.
appreciation of grammar and stuff. So um, simply by writing, I found that I had the story, but I just needed the craft. And that was a good couple of years worth of writing that I tried to get it published and everything, but didn't get anywhere with it. Um, and then just by luck, I was working at a design agency who happened to have a comic division as a sort of a subdivision within the company. And I sort of, after many years of sort of rejection and sort of just going around the same story and round and round and round in this sort of vicious circle of, oh, I'll just tweak it a little bit more. And then, what do I do with it? I decided to pitch a totally different idea to those guys. A little bit of nepotism coming into play. They helped me sort of rework aspects of it and really sort of help with the editing. But they sort of gave me the first step up
Hmm,
into
hmm.
the comic world, and that was when 45 got published by Comex. And that was my first step into the publishing world of comics. And then from there, you know, I went on for a good 12 years writing comics.
Yeah, yeah. And your your entryway via gaming, of course, makes me think about Overrun and some really interesting layers that you do there. For folks that aren't familiar with it, I would recommend it. Science fiction world, sort of dystopian community where the government decides to deal with overpopulation in a really not very nice way. But there's also this really interesting layer of sort of computer world building that comes in as part of it too.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, what is it? Somebody mentioned, one of the reviewers mentioned it was Tron of the Dead. And I think that was a
Oh,
pretty much good way of summing up what it was. Some hit some nice aspects. Tron of the Dead, yeah, nice and short. That I can, as an elevator pitch, you can pitch that anywhere, and people will go, right. I know what you're doing there. So,
yeah.
and it's a long time. Gosh, I haven't spoken about Overrun in years, so it's nice that somebody mentioned it.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah, absolutely.
so
Glad to bring it out there.
yeah, it's like I say, it's like a blast from the past, and that was a gosh 2014-ish.
Mhm.
So gosh, where's the time gone? And yeah, that was a fun time working with Matt Woodley and Paul Green on the artwork. So and we were doing it all ourselves. We again couldn't find a home for it. Trying to get it picked up was hard. So we just did it ourselves and, printed a very short run. I even handed one to Jonathan Ross at the London Comic Con. So I probably ended up somewhere, filed away somewhere or put in the trash. But, it's fun. I kind of miss, because I don't write comics anymore these days. I've sort of switched to novel writing. So
Mhm.
it's something that I do hark for now and again. Working with an artist is always the fun part of the job when the art comes in. There's quite something that obviously you don't get with novels unless you're looking at the cover or something and you've commissioned somebody to give you some nice artwork. But I do love when the artwork comes in because I used to be a graphic designer for 30 years. So I would be, when the artwork would come in, I would actually do a first pass on the lettering. So, and then in terms of production, I would also handle all the production side of things. So, I would liaise with the artist, I would liaise with the letterer, I would liaise with the colorist, I'd get everything in, I would typeset it all. So for actually producing, it was quite a natural process for me. I felt in my element. So I do miss those days because I don't because my career took a slight deviation really, and I kind of instigated that. So after 30 years worth of graphic design, I kind of felt that I was building up a good repertoire within the writing industry and or a reputation rather within the writing industry, and my repertoire or skills was growing, and I was picking
Mhm.
up little projects in the day job as a graphic designer, but these projects would tend to be a little bit more sort of writing focused. So I was writing a sort of choose your own adventure for Pac-Man on Amazon Alexa and things like that. So working with Bandai. So I kind of made the switch and I switched to narrative director or
Mhm.
designer rather for Supermassive Games. So I was writing sort of horror scripts and things. So a massive switch from doing graphic design and pretty graphics, which after 30 years is fun, but I kind of needed a change. And writing was a new passion of mine that had come about because of computer games. So it was quite a nice fit to sort of move or take a sort of a leap to a slightly different sort of left field position for a career. And now, yeah, I don't look back really. I don't miss the graphic design days.
Yeah, no. But it's great to hear about the journey and challenging yourself to try new things and taking on new roles. And it seems at the center you're a person who loves stories. That seems to be the
Oh,
thread that
absolutely.
comes through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think stories is definitely at the heart. And I would go even one further and say creativity.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think being a creative, whether it's creating posters, because I used to do film posters and DVD sleeves and computer game sleeves, which are fun to see when you actually sort of walk past and go, yeah, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
To just creating worlds and coming up with the ideas and actually populating it and putting life into a sort of a world that you created is there's nothing like it. Um, you can do anything. It's almost like you're God.
Oh,
You decided you shall die, you shall live. I'm gonna, throw a dragon in over here, and I'm gonna raise mountains over there, and it's it's quite I say it's quite humbling, especially when people start to read your work and sort of come along for the ride. I
yeah.
think that's really cool. When you start getting people sort of messaging you saying, "Oh, so and so character was doing this, and I loved what you did there and stuff," and it is really sort of you just think, "Oh, yeah, they get it."
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice. And so, I always put lots of Easter eggs in my world, so there's lots of stuff for people to sort of try to create a bit of a conversation. And I think if I can create a world with a bit of conversation for people, that's a win for me.
Absolutely. And I'm going to throw out the term lore master. I think that's the
Yes.
term. Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's the more recent work, which is hero interviews.
Yeah, yeah. So in the hero interviews, you have a lore master sort of walking around a fantasy realm, trying to interview heroes. So it's hence the hero interviews. I think the inspiration really, because it was something I'd done on 45. So 45 was sort of superhero interviews with a journalist, a father to be interviewing superheroes. And I kind of, so many years later, I mean, we're talking 12 years later, I've sort of gone back to that format and actually thought, you know what, this would be really cool if we could do it in sort of something that's very close to my chest, which is Dungeons and Dragons and sort of fighting fantasy and all of that sort of stuff, because I grew up on D&D and all the different role-playing books. So to do something that was a little bit more tongue-in-cheek of a lot of stuff that has been part of my life was kind of fun. So it was quite nice to sort of just go, oh, I'm just going to go mad in a D&D world and get this lore master to interview people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sort of actually, funny enough, I was watching Platoon today. No, and it was, sorry, not Platoon. Today was Platoon. Yesterday was Full Metal Jacket. There's a deviation of a story here, but
Oh, yes.
my
Yeah.
son, my son is doing stuff about the Vietnam War, and I absolutely, I was really into sort of understanding the intricacies of the Vietnam War and what that did to a lot of people. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
section in Full Metal Jacket where they're literally to camera by the camera crew, and they're getting interviews, in the front line, and they're just giving their versions of it. And you can see the different people. Some people just want to go home. Some people just want to, get in there and start, winning it for America. And some people sort of believe that America cannot lose. And they're obviously the way that Stanley Kubrick done it was just to sort of give a sort of a commentary, very quick commentary of all the different personalities, all giving different slices of their beliefs to what was going on. And
Mm-hmm.
so the hero interviews is a sort of a nod to that. So you're getting slices of lots of different characters within the the sort of the hero sort of universe. And some are believing that they're doing good work, and others are sort of like, you know, you've just left a dragon corpse in my field. So, why didn't you clean up after yourself, type of thing? And why did you steal all of my food and come into my house and ransack it all? Which is pretty much what I do as in any sort of computer game RPG. I literally go into the first house and just start going through all the cupboards, nicking all the clothes and everything. And so just to sell them round the corner to make a bit of a profit. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of was like, okay, well, somebody would say something like the NPC would say to, what are you doing? You're nicking my stuff and you're selling it. That was my favorite dress. You don't even need a dress. Why do you, so it's just having a sort of a bit of a left field conversation with lots of different characters. So yeah, the hero interviews, is a lot of fun. There's a lot of banter and a lot of sort of, I'd say a lot of reference from British, in particular British comedy, Monty
Love it.
Python and things like that. So
Love it.
Blackadder and stuff. So if you're into it, your British comedy, then you'll probably get a bit of a kick out of it.
And if you're not into British comedy, what's wrong with you? Is my question. It's great comedy. It is great.
I appreciate American comedy and Canadian comedy. You know, Kids in the Hall I grew up with, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
um, there's a lot, and I love Cheers back in the day, and there's a lot. I just love good comedy, really, and I want to make people laugh. And I want to laugh myself because I think it's a very good medicine. And if I can make a few people laugh, great. I'm happy.
And I love the creativity of a world that's overstuffed with heroes too, that are just sort of like being interviewed one after the other, because so many stories kind of feature the one or two heroes, and there's sort of the limited character. But to imagine a world where, well, this is just sort of something that happens all the time, and that, and to get that the humorous perspective on it is it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with that.
I think the footnotes help, which they were a late addition, and I did really go overboard. And it is a very divisive um, thing. Some people love the footnotes, some people are like, "There's too many footnotes," and I'm like, "Nah, you can ignore it if you want to. You still get a
Yep.
good story if you wanted to. Don't. The footnotes are there if you want to read them. If you don't. It's not a problem. The story still works." But if
True.
you really want to get into the mindset of the lore master, then read the footnotes. I think
Right.
that's the way I'd see it. You've got two books for the price of one. What more can I say?
Yeah, and it's quite a volume. It is quite a volume.
It's a little bit weighty, so I apologise now for anybody attempting to pick it up and then doing themselves an injury. Please don't sue me. It's nothing to do with me.
It's but it's quite worth the money and the time,
Yeah,
being, a large volume. So there's that at least.
yes, exactly. And I'm actually working on 12 follow-ups.
Oh wow. Wow.
So, and I know it sounds like I've just like, why did you just do one? Well, I did one before and it was big. So this time I'm going to split it into 12 books and we're going to do the hero diaries. And it's going to
Oh
be written
nice.
in diary format. So it's a diary entry day by day
So
and
sort of a deep dive.
a deep dive. It's sort of like following an adventure, so to
Hmm.
speak. And
Hmm.
the character that is from the hero interviews is now on an adventure. And yeah, you sort of get it month by month. So we'll break it into 12 different months, and we'll release a book as a. I wouldn't say we're going to release one every month, but it will be whenever we release it, it will be one contained month with a proper story in there that has a larger arc between the 12, but you'll get one sort of cool story if you just picked up the one book. It kind of has an end ish, a cliffhanger end. Makes
And
you want
may
to
it
buy
may
book two.
continue.
It's book
That's
three.
right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the plan, and that's I think I'm on about day 9 now, day 9 or 10. So I've still got another 20 odd to go. So it's going all right. It's going good. Too many
Yeah.
footnotes.
But I imagine they're a lot of fun to create as well.
They are, they
Yeah.
are, and literally, like I say, a lot of it is you can riff off of movies and scenes, and I think I've just done a riff of Obi-Wan Kenobi's "These Aren't the Droids You're Looking For,"
Mm-hmm.
and just done my own sort of little spin on it. So yeah, I find pop culture references are pretty cool as well. I've dipped into, I don't know how many, if how many you spotted in the hero interviews, but there's a lot of film references in there from Aliens and Terminator. Everything. All my favorite films tend to get sort of mentioned. I don't think I've mentioned Leon the Professional, but I may add that into the next one.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Some Luc Besson. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do love that film. So especially the ending. The ending is so cool. With a soundtrack from, or not a soundtrack, but an end song from Sting, I seem to remember.
think that's right. I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we mentioned 45. We've mentioned Overrun, Hero Interviews, um, Freeway Fighter. Freeway Fighter is another one
Freeway
that's out there.
Fighter.
That's
Yeah.
it's just an easygoing sort of story, right? Like just
Yeah.
very peaceful.
I love Mad Max. In fact, I've just bought Thunder Road. I'm a
Mhm.
huge board game fan. So, are you aware of Thunder Road?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So, Restoration Games have just sort of picked up. They love picking up old games that you had as kids, like Return to Dark Tower and stuff. So they've taken Thunder Road, which is a very sort of I'd say a very basic game, but it was fun. And they've really put the spin on it and released this sort of huge expansion, expansive game with lots of different cards and everything. So I'm a big fan of huge motor vehicles that basically destroy each other. And
Hmm.
so Freeway Fighter was a big part of my life growing up. Ian Livingstone's wrote the book originally, and it was supposed to be a sort of a riff off of Mad Max. And Ian's a good friend of mine, and I actually had the choice between Death Trap Dungeon and Freeway Fighter. And part of me does. Death Trap Dungeon is a huge, so popular. And I had the story all beaten out and all written out and everything. But I still wanted to do Freeway Fighter because it was cars and it was sort of like, yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. So I did a sort of an origin story for Freeway Fighter, and it was really weird how it happened. Literally, somebody got in touch with me. Matt Mastrati got in touch with me and said, "I love, I've been following you a while. I like what you do." Said, "I want to give you some money to go make a comic." And I was like, "This is in my DMs," and I'm like, "Do you know how much it's going to cost to do this? It's going to cost you a lot of money. Like it's going to cost like 50,000." And he was like, "Yeah, I've got it. I'll give it to you." And I was like, immediately, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Yeah, look, this is just a wind up. This is just like you're fishing now, and I'm going to give you my bank details. You're going to wipe me out. I'm going to turn up, and somebody's going to own this house or whatever. But
Right.
to his credit, he was absolutely bona fide. And yeah, we got in touch with Titan, pitched it to Titan. Titan were like, "Yep, let's go." We did the comic. It was a lot of fun. 4 issues. I wish it was more. I wish there was a bit more money in the pot, but I can't. Matt did an enormous favor of stumping up for what he did. And it was a lovely 4 issue run. And I wish I could have carried it on.
Yeah, yeah.
If it was a little bit more successful, I mean, comics is so hard to make money.
That's what
It's
I've
so
heard.
hard. I worked for Michael Bay's 451 company, um, and I was literally writing two or three different comics at the same time, and they must have been spending a lot of money. It was backed by Michael Bay, um, and they've sort of had to take a shift. They were really big for a couple of years, doing a load of stuff, hiring lots of people, getting lots of cool comics made, and their comics were so good. And I remember they got me over to New York to do the New York Comic Con, and that was fantastic. I was signing. I think they were giving away around about 5,000 copies of each comic. I'd
Mhm.
written four of those comics, so I was signing for like 4 days solid or whatever it was. I can't remember how many days I was there. I didn't get to see the show much. I was literally just at the booth signing for 4 days, and just giving people these comics and posters and stuff. And it was fabulous. That was probably, I would say that I was at my height at that point. Because after those guys sort of started to sort of close in a little bit, look to Kickstarter to do a lot of their stuff. I think I got one more gig, which was writing a San Diego Comic Con version of Vikings, which was great. I mean, I had no plot. I wasn't allowed. I was writing between series. I was writing between series 5 and 6. So it was the mid-season break or something, and I had to, um, you know, write a story without necessarily destroying the arc and revealing anything else. So
Mhm.
I had to come up with a story out of nowhere, and I pitched this idea of Lagatha had lost her necklace, her little sort of pendant that she has, this little hammer pendant. And somebody finds it on the battlefield and brings it back to her, basically, and that person is ambushed by scavengers looking for an easy sort of trophies and gold after a massive battle, picking the corpses clean of anything that they can find. And yeah, it was just nice to do it. And I think the actress, God, what's her name? Winnick? I can't remember her name now. But she tweeted like an Instagram showing the comic,
Oh,
going through
nice,
it and
nice.
everything. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
those type of things didn't happen enough for me. I really wish I could have stayed in the industry. But it's a really hard industry to find momentum. I was doing something for 2000 AD. I think I got in 3 times on the trot into 2000 AD magazine, and never again. Never again. They didn't use me, and it was just like, what did I do? You don't know. You just don't know. So you kind of just have to take it on the chin and just go, maybe it's not my time.
Mhm.
And look, I don't, there's part of me is a little bit sort of like, why didn't they use me?
Right, right.
About anybody that, if you look at the legacy of work or the volume of work I've done some amazing things. I've worked on, Dark Souls. I've worked on Just Cause 3. I've done those sort of comics.
Hmm.
Um, and, there's a lot of stuff a lot of IP that I've been trusted with, but I still can't get a decent writing gig out of anybody in the comics industry. So, I switching to novels means, again, I got lucky, and Rebellion published the hero campaigns and companions, which was my little
Hmm.
book of
D and
tweets that
D.
I did. Yep,
Hmm.
D&D tweets, cats and dogs playing D&D, which was a you know, good little idea that I just thought, what, somebody would pick this up and it'd be a good stocking filler at Christmas. And lo and behold, somebody did. They came in and picked it up. So that was a lot of fun. Worked with it with Rihanna Pratchett. So Ree and I have become really good friends. So a good friendship's come out of it. So that's fantastic. I don't, I can't begrudge anything like that. And then when I went to pitch the hero interviews, I said, look, I've got this really cool book.
Hmm. Hmm.
Couldn't get anybody to pick it up. No, a couple of people came back and said, look, this is really good. Um, but I just don't think it'll get picked up. And they were right. Nobody wanted to risk trying to publish, a 195,000 word book of an unknown author. So I did it myself. I just done the ebook. I wasn't going to publish it in print format because it looked too daunting. But actually going through the process after and sort of going, actually, I think I could do this. And it was hard work. It is a real lengthy sort of to and fro between the Word file and Amazon's sort of upload file to make sure that everything is flowing correctly. But it's all good experience. And now I've got a fabulous, very big book sat
Yeah,
behind me that's weighty. And I did
very
that.
attractive. Very
Yeah,
attractive volume.
exactly. So, and now it's like, now I've done it once. I don't think I'd go to a publisher now because I can do it myself.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that I literally have been rejected so many times from publishers. I was like, well, I don't quite understand why I would want to go with you now. You
Right,
know,
right.
you'd have to offer me a lot of money to publish my book now. I think that's where I am. I've recouped everything I've spent on the hero of interviews and made a little bit more. So
Nice.
you know, I probably would I make the same from a book sale? I mean, knowing what I do and with my experiences, I don't think I'd make a lot more after the publisher takes their cut. So why not keep it all yourself? You only pay Amazon, and that's it. So
Right.
sorry, I went on a
No, no,
really
you're
long
good.
run,
No,
a
you're
really
good.
long different sort of discussion there. But hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight.
Definitely, definitely so. And I applaud you for doing what works and what you found that gets your work out there because just the little bit of publishing that I've done, I know the industry can be very strange and so that's the direction you'll be going with the diary books as well. I
Yeah,
assume. Yeah.
absolutely. I'll take it out as myself. I think,
Yeah.
you know, do the first couple, see how well they do, and just build from there. I think
Mm.
if you can do it yourself, what are you paying the publisher? Why would I consider giving 50% of this away to a publisher? Based upon the returns and royalties, I might as well just do it myself.
Yeah, and you get to decide the price that people pay, the
Yep.
moments where the promotions are there, all of those sort of
Yeah,
things with
yeah,
Amazon.
absolutely. In fact, um, I've got a price drop at the moment. So the
Mm-hmm.
hero interviews is actually for Father's Day, which is today, um,
Mm-hmm.
all the way for the next 5 days. You can pick it up on ebook worldwide for nothing.
Nice, very nice.
So you
I'll,
can
I'll
you
make
can
sure
just
to get this out there so people
yeah,
know.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, you can pick it up now for nothing, and that will run for 5 days, I believe. I think it finishes around about Thursday or something, which timing's about right.
I'll make sure to link the Amazon page. Any other spaces that you want to make sure that we share, talk about, and link for listeners?
I'm usually found on Twitter as at Andy Ewington, as Andi Ewington, Ewington. That's usually my go-to place. I don't really use Facebook much, but I know we connected on Facebook, so
You did,
if,
yeah. Yeah.
it
Thank you
does
for
work.
using it for that.
That's all right. That's all good.
And I just found the Twitter and we'll link that as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for a wonderful talk. We have just a few more minutes. Anything that I missed that you want to make sure to share?
Um, no, I don't think so. I think creativity and I think it's if anybody is looking at this, sort of wondering if there's should I self-publish? So should I go the publisher route? Should I go for the agent? And still wondering. I think it's worth, trying to get an agent, trying to get a
Hmm.
publisher, because those things do can pay off for certain people down the line. I know of people that have had, five-figure deals and six-figure deals off of book deals. Those things do happen. It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's like buying a lottery ticket. You might as well just have a punt, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I would say don't give up, because ultimately there is always a way for your work to appear. And
Hmm.
just because you're going self-published doesn't make you any less of a writer. I've had some very good reviews, very good feedback off of readers for what I've done, and I've controlled everything. I control every aspect of that, and I'm not beholden to anybody. I got to choose what artist was going to do the cover. Connor Nolan did a fantastic job on it. I worked with the editor. I decided what got cut and what didn't get cut, and
Hmm.
so in that respect, as a self publisher, I have complete control, and as long as you can do the groundwork of promoting and getting yourself out there, and sometimes ordering 20 copies of your own book, because you can get them off of Amazon at cost price, and
Hmm.
sending them out to people to get reviewed, or giving it out as competition prizes and stuff, which is what I do. um, if you're prepared to do that, you can reap the rewards of that, and you can see success. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a writer just because you self-published. So, I think that's an important thing, really. Writing needs to find a way out. If it's in you and you've got to get it out there, don't feel that a closed door to a publisher or an agent is it, and that it will never happen. I think that's probably the only thing I would add to that.
Love it. Love it. Keep knocking, keep exploring, and don't throw those drafts away, right?
No, I've got so many of those drafts. I've literally got like an idea dump file with so many comic scripts that never got published, and I just read them from time to time. Sometimes I wonder who wrote this? Because it doesn't look like anything I ever wrote before. It's like, this is really good. I couldn't have written this, but I still remember writing it. Actually, I've got one script. I've got no memory of writing whatsoever. And literally, it's really good up to the point that I stopped writing and I've got no idea what the rest of the story is. And that's going to haunt me forever because it's so good.
Maybe it will come back. Maybe it's in the subconscious.
I don't know. I think I've just done too many ideas now that they've all just bled into this huge sort of abomination like the thing. It's just sort of congealed ideas and just mutated together and are now stomping around my consciousness or subconsciousness. So
Which is a good idea all its own. Oh my goodness.
that is a really good idea. I'm going to nick that one definitely.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
If I see it out with your name, Jason, I will not be happy.
I will
No, I'm
not.
only joking.
I will
I'm
not.
only joking. You can do what you like. I don't care.
I won't be one of those characters in the game that rifles through and goes, "Oh yeah, I'll take that. Thank you."
Well, I think a lot of ideas are sort of you lean into other people's ideas to get further your own ideas, and that happens all the time. So, I would expect a level of people sort of using it as reference and going, "What can I use that as a springboard?" I think people do that anyway.
Oh yeah.
If you look at, God forbid, if you look at sort of Harry Potter, it's Lord of the Rings. So, the amount of Lord of the Rings stuff is in there, and that got referenced heavily to create what that is. So, yeah, use the material and make something better is what I say.
Part of the conversation. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for spending some time. I'll be sure to share the video, the audio, and all the things back with you. And I appreciate you taking some time on Father's Day to talk with me.
No, pleasure. Have a happy Father's Day. Doing whatever you're going to do for the rest of the day. I heartily recommend going downloading Diablo on the quiet and then playing it tonight. And so I said, look, it's my day. I'm
That's right.
doing this.
I need to do that. I need to do that. I've
I
heard too
do.
many good things.
Yeah, exactly. Do it. Do it. And if you
I'm
get
hearing that.
blamed, blame me. Just say Andy said, do this. I've got to look at it because there's some important narrative stuff on here.
That's right. That's right. It's research. It's
It's
research.
research. Research. What a fabulous word. Use that all the time at work. Research. It's research.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, and hope to talk again sometime in the near future about one of the diary books as well.
Pleasure. I'm always available. Feel free to drop a line.
Thank you so much.